everybody, and welcome back to the One Shot Podcast. My name is Chris Famularo, and joining me today, we have Robert Ruszkowski and Christian Gardner. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Pretty good, another week down. We're getting closer to a nice Easter break. So for me, it's the first time through the semester I get to slow down, which is needed. So
Take a much-needed breath.
Exactly. So feeling good.
That's good. Rob, what about you?
I said doing well. It's a Monday, but it's a shortened week, so that's nice. Looking forward to Easter. Might be able to see some of my family, those who are vaccinated and quarantining and stuff like that. But things are starting to open up. The weather's starting to get nicer, so the light is at the end of the tunnel, fellas.
Yeah, it's definitely at the end, but I don't know how close it is.
It's a long tunnel, though. It's a very long tunnel.
It's a very, very long, never-ending tunnel.
But.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear you guys are doing well. Times definitely are changing. I know it's been a couple weeks since we've released a podcast episode because everyone has been so incredibly busy. One thing I'm sure you guys are noticing, hopefully you're noticing if you're paying attention, my background's a little bit different. I didn't used to record in this space, but that's because your boy has fully become a grown-up and has gotten his own apartment, and that's where I am now. I am in my own apartment. Yay!
New Zoom backgrounds. If you got like the deluxe package, that's a real.
No, paying for rent. I'm not going to be getting a deluxe backgrounds.
That is 100% authentic. So when's the housewarming party?
Literally as soon as you guys want. Socially distance, of course, in my 850 square foot apartment.
Don't make me call Phil Murphy on you.
Listen, he's got a lot to deal with throughout this wonderful state that is New Jersey.
I'm sure he's safe.
But other than that,
or a plant or something.
Huh?
He'd love to bring a fruitcake or a plant, to help.
He probably would. Like he does seem like a fruitcake kind of guy.
He'd bring weed brownies, and you know it.
Well, I mean, it's legal now, so it's
officially
legal in New Jersey.
He put it as like his Twitter background, or he tweeted it out.
I mean, that was one of the major proponents that got him elected, was that he was going to legalize it. So there you go. Politics making its way slowly but surely. But one of the major things that's been going on in the world that has just completely taken over Twitter and any meme platform on the internet, there's one big old boat that got stuck in the Suez Canal. Yeah. And it has disrupted the global economy and shipping lanes more so than I think anyone could have ever guessed. The Evergreen stuck in the Suez Canal. What are your guys' thoughts? You got any good memes for me? What are you thinking?
Well, I was covering this at my job today at CNBC. It's actually freed now, so it is floating. It is being dragged away. And it's funny too, because just a video of it being dragged, because you think it'll be able to just sail away, but it literally had to be dragged, almost like you're dragging like a drunk friend just like through the bar, just on his back, because he just absolutely blacked out. But it's officially freed. I think the stats were it was costing the global economy like $10 billion a day and like $400 million per hour. There's like hundreds and thousands of ships go through that canal every day, month, and year, and it's just crazy to think that it could just very easily be blocked, and then the only solution was to go around the Horn of Africa, which is I don't know what year they did it, but it's back centuries ago when it was piracy and stuff like that. But it's officially freed now. But I think it's going to take 10 days to get rid of all the backlog boats, because there's just hundreds of ships just waiting to get through. But in terms of memes, I mean, chef's kiss, that there was definitely some good ones out there. I think one of my favorites, one of the first ones to be on the scene, was Austin Powers trying to back up the boat from I don't know what movie it's from, but it's him basically just trying to do the K-turn when he's just blocked on both sides. That was just an absolute classic.
It's pretty funny because I actually that's what introduced me to the whole situation, because I had no idea that there was a giant cargo ship blocking the Suez Canal. The only thing I saw was that meme where there was a cargo ship over the tractor that he's trying to move, and I was like, what is going on here? I don't understand. And then I saw a bunch of other memes, so I was like, wait, there's a giant ship blocking an international trade route. Christian, what about you? What were some of your reactions?
It was just the funniest storyline to me, because it's something that for just regular day-to-day people, it doesn't really affect you as much. And just to have a full week of everyone just losing their minds because the ship is stuck, I just kept on thinking about the captain, like that poor person that was just like, guys, oh, kind of messed
Oh
up.
man.
We might have a problem. And then just the forklift picture with the giant boat and just the forklift trying to give it a little push. And then I was talking to one of our roommates, Elisa, today, and she was like, they missed a great opportunity. As soon as they free that one ship, get another ship stuck. How funny that would be. And I think my favorite tweet, though, was someone was like, oh, Karl Marx never talked about this. And then it turned out that Karl Marx actually, for example, what if the Suez Canal got stuck? In one of his writings already, Karl Marx actually talked about this exact scenario, what that would mean to people.
The future.
And it's just very funny.
Wow, that's great.
I like the one online. It was like a reject. Oh, what was it like? Reject.
Reject modernity.
Yeah, like embrace tradition, because it was about like them going around the Horn of Africa. For all you Impractical Joker fans, there's this one. It says, "Okay, Joe, now take a hard right."
Yeah, like, I'd love to. The only movie I can think that's like not similar in scenario, but like just similar in location, which is Captain Phillips, the movie about the Somali pirates taking over a cargo ship. Like, I would love to see a movie just about this sequence of events and like how dramatic they would make this boat. Like, what happened? I can't wait for the investigation or like the release of the like events that happened that led this giant ship to just go into the wall of the canal. It's just, I can't wait to find out what caused this.
I thought I heard it was like trying to make like not a K turn, but like a turn. And what happened was, from what I mean, early things is that there's like 20,000 shipping containers on there. And basically because of that, they acted as almost like a sail. And when the wind just like pushed it, because like it's just a wall of, containers. So like there was a high wind and there was nothing to break it. So it just kind of pushed it.
Yeah, but it's a canal. Like, aren't all canals supposed to go straight? What turn are you trying to make?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he was like, he like was in a port and pulled out. But one thing I want to mention, unfortunately, it was free today because this website, it's called istheshipstillstuck.com, spelled exactly that, all lowercase, no spaces. And you click on it and it tells you, is the ship still stuck? And it says no. But yesterday it said yes. And that's all the website does. So you can go on there. I mean, it's free. I don't think it's going to get stuck again. But if it does, they will update it.
I hope another ship gets stuck, because it's so funny.
I feel like it gives like anarchists too many ideas now, because all you have to do is just shut down that. It doesn't even need to be that spot. It just could be any point on the canal, and you just costing the global economy billions of dollars.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's even like I'm going to look up how big the Suez Canal is, but you got to think like the only other canal really on Earth that holds that much importance in trade is the Panama Canal.
Yeah, and both are man-made, which is also just a remarkable feat that we were just like, you know what, let's make some water here. There's a surprising lack of water in this spot, and I think we should fix that.
Things that I just don't really understand how you make it are like rivers and bridges. Like how do you like drain the river so that you could build the bridge? I don't get it. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I have the same thought process when it comes to like those giant bridges that they build like over bays and stuff, like the Chesapeake Bay Bridge that connects Williamsburg to Virginia Beach. And that bridge, it starts out as a bridge and then it turns into a tunnel and then it comes out as a bridge again. Like, what? How do you do that?
Tunnels make no sense.
Bridges and tunnels.
You start drilling, but then you need a bunch of guys to hold back the water so that you can put the little beam in. You just got to keep shoveling out the water.
As a kid, I was just like, there's a guy in scuba gear that goes down and drills everything.
Yeah, it's really just. I wish that they might still be, but I wish like how it's made was still around, and they just explained like,
Yeah.
and today we're going to break down bridges. It's like that would be really ideal. But I looked up how big the Suez Canal is. It's 120 miles long, or 193 kilometers. And Rob, it's exactly like you said. All you have to do is get something stuck at one end or the other, and you just shut it down.
That spot. I mean, I'm sure it's well guarded, and it's kind of like one of those like United Nations areas where like no one country can like own it, because there were wars fought over it. I mean, going back like 100 or so years, like there was definitely some wars for control of it. But obviously now it's like once everyone's all peaceful and like understanding that this is important for everyone, it's like now it's some random event just makes it stuck.
A strong gust of wind and a bit too tight of a turn.
It's almost like the domino thing, it's like one strong gust of wind like closing down the global economy for a week.
Yeah, I mean, on par of like random events that gain like notoriety through memes and stuff, it's definitely up there as Christian was saying, of like something that it stinks like economy wise. Like it's almost as interesting as like all the GameStop memes and stuff like that for the stocks. Like a lot of that was really funny with all the memes, but it didn't entirely affect a lot of people except for a bunch of billionaires. But that we're not going to talk about them. It was kind of nonsensical fun at somebody else's bigger expense that we don't have to worry about.
I kind of compare it to like some other meme trends going on, because it's like bittersweet, like because you almost enjoy the chaos. Like people are suffering. There's like people freaking out, but you're like, this is worth it for the memes. like I know some people are losing their entire income, or like these people are like losing all their 401ks, but you're like, but memes, and it's funny. The thing I've been comparing it to is the Prince Philip thing, because there's so many memes about this guy who looks like he died 10 years ago, who's like a zombie, and there's just so many memes about it. Like give him one of those shocking chewing gum, like give him some McDonald's Sprite. But the thing is, once he dies, like I don't know if those memes are going to be okay. So everyone's kind of like, let's kill him with some McDonald's Sprite. But I'm like, once that happens, you can't be making these memes. But knowing Twitter, knowing the internet, they'll find a way to just like make jokes, like breaking news, like he died like 10 years ago. Like no one knows.
I've been convinced that man just continues to get defrosted every time he has to make an appearance.
Well, going back to the Harry and Meghan thing, there was all these funny memes about it. Like it was the Oprah interview, and you're like. And Oprah's like, oh, what's the big secret? And it's like, we had to defrost, him every morning. like there was an Onion article, like it's just by Prince Philip. It's like, I'm still in the car. And it's like, I've been here for 10 days. Like someone let me out.
Like if someone were to be the personification of death, it would be him.
Oh, of course.
He's like right on the edge of it. And if you blow on him too hard, he ain't gonna make it. He ain't gonna make it.
Suez Canal, and there's a strong gust of wind.
Yeah.
You better stay.
Prince Philip has been stuck in the Suez Canal for 6 days.
Oh wow, yeah. I don't know if you guys have ever played they're the Fallout games, but everyone always like takes that one picture of him in the car where he's like this and his face is all blown up, and they make him green and they make him look like a ghoul from the Fallout games. And
it doesn't need much editing though. I mean, because his eyes are like purple too, which I mean, I understand people get old, but just the way he was like, because everyone knows that.
How old is he?
99. He's 99 years of age. Queen's another one who's just old. Like she's been in power for like 60 years or something.
Yeah. How old is she?
She's
old enough.
I think she's like 94. I could be wrong, but I think she's 94. But there's like a picture of her like shaking hands with like some World War II leaders. Like there's.
Yeah, this whole month of March between the Harry and Meghan interview and all the terrible pictures of Prince Philip,
up the line for sure.
The Crown is probably taking a beating with their public appearance.
Take notes.
Yep, but we're also doing really well here with our leadership in America. It was only about a week ago where Joe Biden could make it up a plane.
Oh my God, I love that.
Once again, the wind. We should just get rid of wind. Who needs it? Wind turbines? Nope, not worth it. We've crunched the numbers and it's not worth it.
Just get rid of wind.
I just love. He kept trying though. He kept going for it, and you try to play it off because we've all been there. We've all done it.
Like, who wears dress shoes going up carpet stairs and then decides to? I'm gonna sprint these.
He's bolding it.
I'm gonna sprint.
Listen,
No,
Uncle
no
Joe.
friction. Carpet stairs. It's a bad time, man.
Uncle Joe, he's a fit guy. You see all of those pics of him just walking all the time. Like he's just out there.
He does walk. He chooses to get around that way.
I mean, he also rides his Peloton, so we know he's health is wealth is his mindset, right? But that's really the thing is like, who thought of all the things to put on your stairs going into Air Force One? Why the hell are you putting red carpet outside where someone can
classy and the people like it?
But yeah, I mean, also going back to what Christian said, it's like once you trip up one stair, it's like you're done. Like the stairs will take you until you are fully laying down and have fallen down them. I'm amazed that he even was able to recover from that point.
You just got to get on your butt and slide down like a kid, just.
Or crawl up them. Like that's how, as a child, you would just crawl up the stairs.
The thing was, I think it was the Daily Show. They did a compilation. Like Mike Pence stumbled upstairs, Obama stumbled upstairs. Trump never did because he walked very slowly. And of course, Trevor Noah was having fun with it. Like, he would always hold the railing and he understood the gravity of it and stairs like an obstacle course. And then SNL like edited the video really badly where it's like he's breakdancing down, Joe Biden's breakdancing down the stairs. And it's like, good job, Joe. You did it.
There you go, Joe.
What are you going to do?
All right, well, we can transition away from news and politics and to the real thing that has been making March such an incredible month, and that is March Madness. And we are finally getting an NCAA tournament because we all remember how last March went. The world exploded with COVID, and pretty much nobody was allowed to have fun because of a pandemic. So this year, guess what? There's still a pandemic, and nobody's really allowed to have fun except for these guys and gals. But the gals don't get as good of a treatment as the guys do. But the NCAA doesn't want to say that, but everyone knows it.
Yeah.
So we, as of today, our recording, we have finally reached the Elite Eight. There are 3 number 1 seeds left and 2 double-digit seeds. Shout out UCLA and Oregon State. The Pac-12 has decided that the month of March was when they were going to actually contribute as a basketball conference. And I'm just interested because both you guys are basketball fans, both men and women's basketball fans. What are some of your highlights? What are some of your biggest takeaways? What games have you enjoyed the most? Who are some of your biggest surprises? Just basically throw out any information you have for me.
I think I was able to enjoy this March Madness more because by maybe like 4 hours into March Madness, my bracket was done. So I could just enjoy, sit back, watch some basketball, call it a day, and not get upset with the Pirates, even though it's the first time in quite some time the reigning champion wasn't in the tournament. Like, come on. Everybody knows the Pirates won last year.
Of course.
But whatever. It's fine.
Unanimous.
I mean, like, exactly. Reddit, New York Post, others.
Yeah, 2 very credited organizations.
Sources.
Yeah.
My bracket.
It is what it is. We keep it pushing, though. But I think it's been the craziest of all March Madnesses because a lot of these teams, like, you only played within your conference for the majority of the year. And so this is the first time that a lot of teams are getting non-conference action, and you get a team like Oral Roberts that comes a shot away from going to the Elite Eight. And I think for the Pac-12, they've been the little brother of all the power conferences for quite some time. Yeah. But for them to go on this run, man, great for them, great for their conference. The Pac is back, and I can't be happier.
The Pac is back. But then you also have to admit, I mean, my favorite story, I think, so far, and Rob, we'll get to you, but my favorite story so far is the fact that Oregon State preseason was picked to be the dead last of the Pac-12. And then they go on, they win the Pac-12 tournament, and then they just march their way through the NCAA tournament. I mean, they've beaten some seriously good teams to get to the Elite Eight now. And who are they matched up against for their Elite Eight game?
They're coming out of the Midwest. It might be
Houston. They're going against the 2 seed.
Oh, Houston, yeah.
A Houston team that barely beat Rutgers.
Yeah, but like.
And then they beat the shit out of Syracuse. So.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I'll be rooting for Oregon State. I thought that scenario was going to be a different team that was picked to finish last in Georgetown. I was big on that Hoya paranoia, and they completely let me down. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that Georgetown Cinderella story really ended with the Big East championship game, because there's no way that you blow out Creighton and then continue that into the NCAA tournament against, who did they play? Colorado. And that was a good Pac-12. That's another good Pac-12 team who was a 5 seed. So there's no way. I mean, I was blown. Like, I saw that the Georgetown victory over Villanova could definitely happen. But I was like, Seton Hall just played such a good game against St. John's, a good St. John's team, and then they just completely like fall out from underneath themselves.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about these Pirates anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing it nonstop, so we don't have to do it here. But Rob, what are some of your biggest takeaways? What have you enjoyed from March Madness? What do you got going on in your world of basketball?
So going in, like, this wasn't going to be my favorite March Madness because, like, there's not the locations, there's not the fans, and then it's so hard to predict when you don't know anything about them. Like making the brackets, I was like, I haven't even been following these teams just because, you know, they're not really televised and because, you know, everything's going, you know, work and all that stuff. So I took my best guess. I think I got one game in, and then all my, you know, my brackets were just, I guess, busted or not perfect anymore. I always pick some mid-tier teams, like the 2-3 seeds to go. My big hopefuls were Oklahoma State, Alabama, and Florida State, and they're all out of it now. I mean, my Gonzaga and Baylor are the champs that I chose for my 2 brackets. They're doing pretty well. They're still in it, obviously, as of this recording. But it's funny because after I made the brackets, like, I didn't have Ohio State going too far, but at work they did this like fun little thing where each person was randomly assigned a team,
You got Ohio
like
State.
from 1 to 68. And I got Ohio State, which was the 2 seed. And I was like, oh, like, they got a shot. Like, this is good. And this woman that, you know, I was obviously paired against, you know, she's like, I got to fit. Who's Oral Roberts? I've never heard of Oral Roberts. This is ridiculous. I was like, oh, you know, good luck in the game. And then Ohio State lost to Oral Roberts. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, it's just fitting that a team with the second name Roberts and the first name beats me. Horrible school, but like great overall team. I mean, there was one player who I think the 3 games like did not step off the court for a minute, so you got to hand it to him. I was rooting against Oregon State a couple of times, but at this point, you know, you just got to root for them because, like you said, picked last in the Pac-12. You know, like one of the only 2 double digits. I think the lowest or the highest seed, rather, still left in the tournament as of now. Funny enough, like, brackets were supposed to be submitted at noon, whatever that Thursday or whatever it was. At like 11 o'clock, I'm like, hey, Amanda, fill out a bracket, you know, just for funsies, you know, like just to see what happens. And, you know, and I'm looking over her shoulder while she does it. I'm like, you know, that's a 2 seed. You sure you want to, you know? And I was like, you know, I'll just let you do it. She picked Oral Roberts to win. She also picked Colgate, who was up like 15 points, I think, against Arkansas, whoever they were playing at one point. Her bracket is absolutely trash now, but it was cool saying like, oh, my girlfriend picked Oral Roberts. Like, oh, you guys didn't pick Oral Roberts? You know, like, ridiculous. Loyola Chicago, man, breaking my heart. I thought they were going to go to like their second or technically second consecutive, I think, or, you know, second in 4 years, Final Four. Sister Jean, I mean, she's another one that every day is a blessing for her because I think she's 101 years old now. But maybe there's still some Sister Jean magic.
Oh my God. Wow.
Just like how you can like trade coaches or re-sign coaches, I think Seton Hall should look into signing Sister Jean to like a contract so she can bring some of that magic to South Orange. Speaking on the women's side, though, I mean, UConn is as dominant as ever. Not as mad or not as hectic as the men's side, but I mean, always some great entertainment and really some good time to talk about activism as well. Obviously, the player from Oregon brought to the attention of like pretty much everyone on social media that their weight room was a singular rack of dumbbells, and the men had like an entire, you know, ballroom size gym with equipment. That was quickly fixed. However, I think there were still disparities with the food, with the gift bags, and then even with the testing. I'm not sure if you guys heard about this, but the men were given like PCR tests, which, as we know, are more accurate, and the women were given rapid tests, which are less accurate but faster. And NCAA is like, no, like they're just tests. Like it's no different. They're like both accurate. And it's like, but also, which
Yeah,
I think the NCAA's explanation is that the men bring in more revenue, which is true, but they bring in more revenue because they're highlighted more, and they're highlighted more because they bring in more revenue. So it's one of those like cycles where it's like you can easily break this, but you just choose not to. But I am glad to see that the women are getting, at least some highlights now, because I saw something online that based off of like Instagram followers and just like potential ads and stuff like that, um, like if the college players were able to monetize and like get paid for them, I think like 8 out of the top 10 players that are left would be in the women's side.
mm-hmm.
And of course, like you have freshmen from I think it's UConn and I want to say Oregon.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Paige Beckers and who's the player from Gonzaga
Gonzaga. Okay, thank you.
On the men's
I
side,
mean,
which apparently those two went to the same high school.
Yeah, that's insane.
Imagine like you're lacing up your shoes and you're just like, oh man, these two like potential WNBA players just going against you, just ridiculous.
Well, you also know, like in high school, like most, like 70 to 80% of players play 3 sports, like in high school. So not only are you going against them who are like 5-star recruits in basketball, but I also saw the picture for the Jalen Suggs, right? That's his name from Gonzaga. Also was like a highly touted recruit in football, and like I'm sure Paige Beckers probably played some other sports as well. It's like the ability of these players, and I'm not just talking about those two, but that whole list of the top 10 recruits, both between men and women. The fact that they could rake in enough money just between social media followings and endorsement deals. I mean, Paige Beckers, because I work at SNY and we covered a lot of UConn women's games on our broadcast. Like we got to see firsthand. I got to see firsthand of how much of a dynamic player she is, and like. She's guaranteed to get 4 years of just highlight attention.
Yeah, especially
I mean, I think it should have been brought to attention much earlier with other players like Sue Bird and Rebecca Lobo and a bunch of other players from all over the country in the women's side. But now, thanks to social media and plus a lot of outspoken female athletes in the college world, we're finally seeing how terribly they're getting treated versus. The men's side. The thing that really bothered me the most between all those pictures of the disparity was the fact that, yes, the women only got 1 rack of dumbbells, but that rack of dumbbells and the yoga mats that were there was in the same room as the men's workout station. Like, how do you justify something like that?
And I think their excuse was like there wasn't enough room, but then like on social media, the female player from Oregon like showed like, no, like there's all this empty space. Like you can see like it's just empty. And like I said, like with the meals, like the men had like a full buffet, which obviously like buffets during this time, whereas like the women had like, smaller prepackaged stuff and just like the goodie bags. Like I was saying, like the Daily Show did something. I love the Daily Show. They did something like this where like the woman got like a puzzle and an umbrella and the men got like socks and towels and blankets and water bottles. And he's joking like, oh my God, like we forgot to get the women's stuff. What do we have? I have a puzzle. And it's like, good. Like wrap that up.
I feel it's such a catch-22 with women's sports because they always say, oh, people don't watch, people don't support it, but you also don't display it more. And
exactly. It's like what I said before, it's a cycle and like it can be broken. They just, choose not to.
Exactly. And this year they started to break that cycle. They had their first women's game ever broadcasted on FS1 and it had huge responses as well. And so it's great that we're moving in this direction right now. But of course, we can do so much better. And I think Paige Beckers is the face of college basketball right now. She is the best player on the floor without a doubt. And it showed in that study, Rob, that she's number 1 bringing in the most money. And if she's going to be at UConn for all 4 years, I mean, it will do wonders for the sport. Because truthfully, if you don't watch women's basketball, and that's fine, you can't follow every single sport at a time. But that doesn't mean you can't comment on it. Because if you actually do watch women's basketball, it's some of the best basketball that you can find. And I've been fortunate enough to cover a lot of the games for Seton Hall women's basketball this year, which was a phenomenal team and was so refreshing compared to watching this men's team in this past year. And it just shows that there's so much great basketball wherever you can find it. And women's basketball needs to be highlighted and women's sports need to be highlighted continuously.
Yeah, I mean, and that's on all levels. It's not, and not just in basketball. That should be. I mean, look at how much praise the United States women's soccer team gets, whether it's in the World Cup or it's in the Olympics or it's in any the North American games. They're celebrated like heroes. And then you have the men's national soccer team that I think just this weekend they lost the last qualifying match against Honduras to make it into the Olympics. So. There you go. I mean, there's professional softball leagues that you could watch. There is women's hockey was a thing this past year, and it brought in a lot of attention. And they played right out of Montclair in New Jersey. There's a lot of places that you could be looking to find women's sports, even if you're not a basketball fan. So, in all aspects, there's really shouldn't be I can't find it anywhere to watch, because you can. There are places to find it, especially now for the fact that ESPN has a bajillion different types of, whether it's streaming or different channels or ESPNU or 3, like there should be no reason that you can't at least even keep up with like a stat feed on some form of women's sport that you should at least be looking into.
And fingers crossed with the Olympics coming up. I mean, it's unfortunately every 4 years, but I mean, these female athletes are some of the best, if not the best in the world. You're talking like Simone Biles for gymnastics, Katie Ledecky for swimming. I'm sure there's tennis in the Olympics as well. And then gymnastics team. And like you said, like all these different sports that, I mean, they could probably beat the men one-on-one too. And it's crazy to see that, like, just the dominance of how, like, and how great they are in their sports and all.
Well, even it was super recently with the Naomi Osaka and Serena Williams match that happened at the Australian Open. Really, it was like one of the
future of tennis live. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was like one of the highest watched tennis matches in recent history, and that's between the GOAT of tennis versus the up and coming GOAT. So there's a lot of exciting things going on, not only in the world of sports, but specifically in the world of women's sports. And I'm glad that all of us can at least take part and get to experience in all different facets, whether it's in tennis, soccer, basketball, swimming, gymnastics, hockey, anything like that. But we've actually taken up so much time here on this conversation. So let's get to some of the questions that I have planned for today. So, Rob, I'll go with the one that you wanted to talk about. Are you guys early risers or night owls?
What's the one where you just don't go to sleep?
I don't know, a zombie, I guess.
An all-night owl, a non-riser.
So what's contributed to that, Rob? Because I know when we were all at Seton Hall, you were god awful with your sleeping schedule. So how is that continued now when you're out of school and it's working semi-regular hours?
It's a medical diagnosis called procrastination. It's actually really bad, and it affects millions of people nationwide.
A lot of people. It's real, fam. It's real.
Listen, I'm sorry. I should have just believed from the get-go.
Yeah. Side effects include it's weird because I feel like there's certain things where like I'm like, okay, I need to be on time for this. Like like if I'm hanging out with a friend and it's like supposed to be there at 5 and it's like 5:05, I'm like, okay, like I'm getting changed now. But like if you do that for work, they'll be like, okay, just don't come in. Like, okay, just stay home forever. But it is weird because the job that I'm currently in, there's either the morning shift or the afternoon shift. So the hours are from 4 a.m. to noon, or from noon to 8 p.m., which are literally like both of these answers right here. It's either the early riser or you like the night owl where you stay up late. So I'm getting a little taste of both. Neither one is
8 p.m., dude. That's a completely normal time.
No, but I mean, like, and I get home and it's sometimes 9:30 and I'm like not tired because.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
I'm like waking up at 10 in the morning because.
I say this as a person who works 4 p.m. to 12:30. So.
No, exactly.
Yeah, you can see where I fall on this side of the spectrum.
So I mean, there's some nights where like I could stay up till 3 a.m, wake up at 10 a.m. and still get 7 hours of sleep. And there are some days where at 3 a.m. I'm leaving for work, and it's like a week difference. So it is interesting to see. I would consider myself more of a night owl though, because I'm always afraid I'm going to like oversleep for the morning one. And if I could press that snooze button, I will. But at night, I'm like, I could stay up for another episode. I could stay up for like another, hour or another this. And then.
What about you, Christian?
I would certainly say that I'm a night owl.
Yeah, it's a night owl.
You have team night out, gang. We never sleep, baby. But just like, you know, you just howl at the moon as you painfully do a whole bunch of work. Like last night, I did a midterm paper till like 3. It was nice. It was fun. But like recently, it's been a lot of editing different podcasts and different shows and things like that. And then also remembering to do work. And then I have to get up to then do TV2, which is amazing. Amazing. Great time that I love doing every day. And
if you're watching.
I
said, if you're watching, Professor.
If you're watching, yeah, exactly. We're tapped in. We're having a great time. Great time.
I can hear it in your voice. You sound so thrilled.
The thing is, my show is the last. So.
Ooh.
Oh, so you get to spend the whole semester just waiting for it.
Yep. Wow. It's great time. It's great time. But hey, we make it through. And I have 8 a.m.s every day, which is good. It's a great time.
I like how I'm more affected by an 8 a.m. class than like a 3 a.m. work.
Yes.
I'm like, oh man, 8 a.m.
8 a.m. No. But it is what it is, and we make it through. Honestly, I've come to a point where my body is just like, do what we need to do, but it will prefer to just stay up, do the night owl shift, then wake up.
Yeah, I mean, especially college really lends itself to that night owl lifestyle because I don't know if it lends itself because you still have to get up early, like you said, and go to 8 a.m. classes and, you know, be a functioning human being for that time. But also it's like, it's completely reasonable to, you know, especially when you're living in dorms, if you just say you walked out of your dorm and you walked down the hall and you looked at another common rooms, like at most likely at 3:30 in the morning, you are guaranteed to see some other person up on their keyboard, half awake, just typing away. Like it's such a lifestyle in college. And it's so interesting when, especially now for people like Rob and I mean, this might be because we work in the television industry, but then you transition it and you're supposed to go to bed at a reasonable hour, or in my case, you're supposed to stay up past, you know, when a normal person would go to sleep. Like I'm working when most people are going to sleep anyways. So it's either one or the other. You're not really.
And just a quick comment from experience, pulling all-nighters very often at the Great Seton Hall University. I can tell you that campus is more active at 3:30 in the morning than it is at 6:30 in the morning. Like if you walk back to your dorm from the library like 3:30, like you'll see some people around, someone randomly playing guitar on the green, you know, someone trying to get into Duncan. Like at 6:30, it is a ghost town. Like it's light out, but it is a ghost town. Like not even the squirrels are out there. Like no one's coming here for a couple hours. I got some time to relax.
Too soon. Rob, they just announced that they're finally doing your graduation. Are you planning on coming back?
I will. I finally was able to get a spot. It's funny because I was probably the one looking forward to graduation the most, and I just kept missing the provost emails. like and like, you know, oh, we opened up a new time, so I'm like, oh boy, go to click on it, and it's like, oh, too slow, like you missed it. So I was like on the waiting list for a lot of them, and I was like, I don't know if I'm graduating because it's coming soon, and it was gonna be on campus. You're only allowed 2 guests, and I'm like, you know, I can't bring my sister, I can't bring my girlfriend, but now it's at the Prudential Center, and you're allowed 4 guests. So I got 4 guests. So I got in. And it's the same commencement speaker as last year. It's going to be the head of the Secret Service, which is pretty cool. That's an interesting thing. And then I think I'll be doing the Friday one, so it'll be live. And then the other 2 get to hear them recorded, which is not as cool. Which should be a lot of fun. You know, I get to see everyone. I'm not sure how they'll be seating us. I assume it'll be socially distanced and all. And then pictures are probably like not happening. But either way, just to finally get that moment, it's cool. And I'm contemplating whether to take a day off to graduate, which is a fun thing to have to tell my boss. It's like, oh yeah, I need to take a day off. I have to graduate from college.
I mean, yeah, that's a whole thing I didn't even think about. Like there's a whole working class now. I don't know how many of you are working, but there's a whole working class that are like going to have to take time to actually go through the graduation process.
Let me just walk real quick. I'll be back.
I'll be right back. I'm going out for a quick walk. I'll be right back.
Let me do it on my lunch break. I'll be right back. Oh, boy. Well, I guess we'll finish up with one last one. What would you guys say is your biggest pet peeve, if you have any? Whether it's, you know, whether it's something that you do or it's something that other people do that you know shouldn't bother you, but it does bother you. You know, like loud chewing or not
So for
coughing.
me, it's something like the only thing that comes to mind is because I was thinking about this the other day, or like randomly, and it's when people complain about things without like having a solution or like wanting to change. And it's like it's more serious because it's not exactly like chewing loud or like like flicking a pen, but it just bothers me. People are like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example, but it's like, oh my god, I can't believe I have to like wake up so early. It's ridiculous. And it's like, well, just go to sleep earlier. And they're like, no, I'm not gonna do that. It's like, well, stop complaining. Like people complain with like no good reason. I think that could be like more of a personal thing, but like I understand you need to vent every now and then, but just whenever they're like, this person's bothering me, like there's no way like we'll get around it. Like I can't stand this person. It's like, well, you're just making yourself feel worse because like there's obviously no solution to it because you just said like they're not going to change and you're not going to accommodate them. So it's like just stop complaining then. But
complaining for the sake of complaining is
yeah
like that. Okay, cool, thanks, that was fun.
No, I feel worse, you feel worse, and we didn't get anywhere.
This was great. I'm thinking I'm gonna go with just like leaving the lights on in a room that you're like leaving. Like just having the lights on all
Like
the
not
time.
closing the door when you leave, like you're in your room and the door's closed, and then someone like peeks in and then like leaves it like that's the jar, and it's like come on.
One of the biggest things, like recently, because we all know at Seton Hall, everyone just kind of like holds the door.
Yeah.
Like these freshmen don't know that because like
you got to teach them. They got to learn.
They got to learn, but they're also like, you're not really interacting with people outside of your class, really. But it's just like, man, why you just close the door right in front of me like that, man?
I've noticed that too, though, because the problem is to hold the door, you need to like violate that 6 feet. It's not like you're like on the shoulder, but it's like, like some people hold the door for me. I'm like, oh no, like I'm good. I'll just do it. Like when you're touching the door anyway, it's not like it's magically being cleaned within that, but it's this whole idea of now just being within 6 feet, I guess.
Exactly.
I guess a pandemic pet peeve would be the masks. Here leaving the nose.
Oh my! I can't.
That's probably like the highlight of the podcast if we're choosing one. But Sam, what do you got?
I mean, I would love to go off on the nose, the penis nose people that just leave their nose out. I mean, I have to physically restrain myself from like anytime I see someone, I have to like make sure to look away and not say anything to them because, God, I would love to just attack people who are like that. Or more so recently now, I've been seeing people who just brazenly walk into places with their mask off. Like
really?
they'll enter a building and then as they're entering it, they'll put it on. I'm like,
hey, you got I saw someone put on a mask over their chin to then walk into a restaurant.
The chin diaper.
That made absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I see all forms of the mask inability on the PATH train, whether it's the mask diaper or the half covering or the dangling from the ear. It's like, what is the point, man? What is so hard about just wearing a mask and just having it on your nose, covering your mouth, and just minding your business? Like, what is the problem?
We've only been doing it for a year.
I don't get it.
Working in the news industry, I think I have to add like all the people who think they're medical experts and all the people who like don't exactly understand the circumstances of like the stuff. Because not that I know everything, of course, but they're like, no, I got vaccinated yesterday. Like I'm good now. I'm like, no, you're not. Like your immune system is not like.
It's not how it works, buddy.
And then like, you see them wearing like the same mask every single day, and you're like, you do realize you need to like wash that or like throw it out at some point.
Yeah.
Or they have the mask, and then you see them like touching or fidgeting it or taking it off and like putting it on like a table, and it's like, dude, now you're gonna put that like back on your face, and they're like, well, the CDC keeps changing their idea and everything. It's like, yeah, that's what happens when you get new information, like science,
Oh man, I would say my biggest pet peeve, aside from like that mask stuff, because that goes in its own category, is people who either like talk to themselves when in like a public setting or when they make like, I'm trying to think of what the right noise is like, I don't know, I guess it's more so
okay,
No, it's like it's people definitely talking to themselves or like heavy sighing all the time or like just people who are very noisy, I
One thing,
guess. Like
especially the pandemic, just all those droplets just
yeah. But I mean, it's just like I don't know,
yeah.
just hearing people who are like working on something and they're just like or they're like making just noises, just generally noisy people really
I feel like
get
we're
to
on the same
me.
category. It's like the complainers, the people who are just looking for attention. It's
Yeah, it's that because like you think to yourself after you've heard the 75th sigh in 2 hours, you're like, are you really that frustrated, or do you just want someone to ask you what's wrong? Because I'm not
yeah.
going to ask you what's wrong. I would more so ask you to shut up before I'll say, hey man, what's going on? You okay? I've heard you sigh a bajillion times. And then what are they going to do? They're going to go, oh man, thanks for asking. I was really hoping someone would catch on. Like, be a grown up, or just keep it to yourself.
Just say what's wrong, man. I will say I love masks because I am a person that like talks to myself and I like to think out loud, and it
See,
makes me
You're
not
the
be a
reason you're having this
no,
conversation.
no, no, no. That doesn't like when I say talking to themselves. Like I don't mind people who because you see it all the time in college and when you're working in a professional setting along a lot of people, you'll see people. It's just part of their method to
Yeah.
getting the job done. Like that's not what I'm talking about. Like I'm talking about people who do complain, but to themselves, but also in the sense of like I'm putting this information out there. It's like almost like a hook, right? Like they're going fishing for people. Like that's what really bothers me when you
And
can
they do it
tell.
at a volume where people can hear them. It's not just like, okay, like now I have to move on to this. It's like, okay, here we go. It's
Yeah,
like
it's like, oh, I can't believe I have to
you're
work on this
wondering,
thing.
I'm moving on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve. Either keep it to yourself or don't. There is no or. Just keep it to yourself, okay? I don't want to hear it.
That's it.
I don't want to hear it. Oh God, is anybody any other pet peeves or anything else you guys want
I
to
think we
talk
covered
about?
it. I think we did that one. Got her done.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that'll do it for us. I mean, we'll hopefully be getting back into more of a regular schedule, podcast wise, because we've been going like 2 or 3 weeks in between episodes now. But that's because people have just been busy. I
Keep
mean,
the
I
viewers
had to
on their
move.
toes, you know?
Yeah,
Make some
there's
more.
got to give the
All
people
these
more.
DMs. When's the podcast coming out? I'm like, you gotta wait, we'll let you know.
No, that is not the system we're going for. We're not trying to entice people with time.
Leave in the comments when you think the next podcast is. If you get it right, we'll send you a prize.
Yeah, true. If you, I love that
Let's
idea.
get you something from Fam's new apartment. Just pick whatever you want off the wall.
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 things you can choose from over here.
I like that doorknob. I'm not gonna lie. Just
You're gonna
grab
take
that.
my doorknob.
Maybe.
maybe.
All right. Well, hopefully soon I'll be having a housewarming party where all of the one shot and all my friends can come over and we can hang out like semi-normal people.
I'll bring the queso.
I look forward to it. Yeah, leave a comment down below if there's anything that you want to talk about or anything that we said that you would like to argue with us, because that's the best place to do arguments, in the comment section of a YouTube video. Please like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it. Robert Ruszkowski, Christian Gardner, thank you so much for joining me today. I always appreciate talking to you fine gentlemen, and I'm sure we will all be talking soon. I hope you both have a wonderful day, and you watching, I hope you have a great day too. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you soon. Bye.